Good evening. Welcome. I'm Molly Young, and tonight I have with me Kane Young.
2020 NFL Draft. I just wanted to say a couple things before we get started here, because I know it's a big night. A lot of Americans going to be watching. Thank you
My pleasure.
for moving from the weather department to the sports department tonight. You uncertified meteorologists, you graced us with your presence. We appreciate it very much. Also want to say I'm just representing Dr. Fauci tonight here on this NFL Draft. Hopefully he's taking a break watching at home tonight instead of working so hard. Anyway.
So too. Well, let's get to the first pick. Tonight's first pick is the Cincinnati Bengals.
And the Bengals, bad ownership, bad team. You and I were actually at this stadium.
Where weren't we?
We stopped there the other year. And as bad as the Bengals are, and with all the stuff going on with COVID-19, I'm glad our good friend Harambe is not here to witness all this. He would be disgusted seeing the Bengals pick first. But here we are, so let's see who they take.
Well, they're taking Paul Wrecking Crew.
I mean, Paul Crew, quarterback-heavy draft, controversial somewhat. Went to Citrus State Prison, was in trouble, off-the-field issues. A lot of people thought it was going to be Joe with the first pick, Joe Kane potentially, but it was not. They've gone off the board a little bit, taking Paul Crew. I think it's a good pick for him, but there's a lot of work to do in Cincinnati. That is going to be a tough situation for him to overcome. So.
Well, with that being said, let's move to the second pick. Who has the second pick? The Washington Redskins.
Yeah, the Redskins, all these teams have bad ownership at the bottom of the draft. It's just awful. Dan Snyder, not very good. We'll see if they add defense, if they want to go offense here. Nobody really knows. We don't think they'll take a quarterback, so we'll have to see who they pick.
Well, let's see. They have picked Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher from SCLSU, the linebacker. I like the pick. A hard hitter. Was called for targeting 7 times this year. Ejected 3 times in games. But this guy will stick a lick. And I like this look right here. The single bar face mask. You say it's almost a tribute to former Redskins back in the 80s. Joe Theismann, Mark Mosley. They used to wear the single bar face mask. So I like the pick for the Redskins. He'll be working in there with Landon Collins and Jonathan Allen. So a good deal for the Washington Redskins.
Well, let's move on with the third pick, the Detroit Lions.
Now, I got to talk a little bit about the Lions. Really, what we should be really calling this team, I feel like Tim Russell 2000 election, the LOL Lions is what they really are. Because let's face it, they're just horrible. 60 years, 1 playoff win. I've been following this team for 40 years. They've never been any good except for like 1 season. I mean, why even bother? Who knows who's in charge? They had a coach that won 9 games 2 years in a row. They fired him. Who knows what they're doing up there? Maybe the ownership should tell the team. I just don't know. It's just a colossal disaster there year after year. But anyway, this is their Super Bowl, so let's see what they pick.
Let's see. The Detroit Lions have selected Steph, and I don't know that name.
Stefan Djordjevic.
Oh,
This pick, I understand the need for cornerback, but it doesn't make sense. Djordjevic is undersized, a tad slow to be the number 3 pick, to justify that pick at number 3. It fills a need, but they could have gotten him later. They could have traded down. They could have done a lot of things here. Had a controversial end to his career at Ampipe High School in Western Pennsylvania. Fought his way out of a tough situation there in the steel mills and steel towns. But, the pick, he's a winner. But his attitude, he got into it with the coaching staff there at Ampipe. I don't know how that's going to work out in Detroit. He doesn't like to lose, and that's a team that loses a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's move on. The fourth pick, the New York Giants have. Take it away.
Giants, we'll see what they do. They went off the board last year, took Daniel Jones from Duke. They may go in a different direction, probably defense this year.
Well, let's see. The Giants have selected, why is this not moving? Becky Icebox O'Shea.
The Icebox, Becky O'Shea, another off-the-board pick for the Giants, the G-Men. Who would have expected this? Now, my question about this pick, what is her commitment to football? She plays defense. She wore number 56. She can't wear that with the Giants because that's the great Lawrence Taylor. But she went out there, she played, then she wanted to be a cheerleader. Then she came back and played and made some big plays in the game. You have to question what her level of commitment is for the Giants. If they can get her out there, I like the pick, but if she wants to stay off the field on the sidelines, I see it being a struggle pick for the Giants.
Well, the 5th pick, the Miami Dolphins have.
Dolphins, got to be thinking quarterback. They need a quarterback. This is a quarterback-heavy draft. Let's see who they go with.
The Dolphins have gone with Rifleman.
The Rifleman. I did not see this coming this early. This guy has a major arm. Played at Ampipe High School in Pennsylvania for Coach Nickerson, and this guy can throw the football deep down the field. They have not had a good quarterback since Dan Marino. They're trying to get him in there. I can see the Rifleman playing in this league for a long time. He has all the tools. If he can work on that short game a little bit, it'll be a big help.
All right, moving on. The 6th pick is the Los Angeles Chargers.
And the Chargers, let's see who they pick.
The Chargers have picked. Oh, this is messing up. I might have to start up.
We're good. And that's why they picked Joe Kane. Joe Kane from Eastern State University. Some people thought Joe was going to be the first pick in the draft with the Bengals. He kind of slipped down. Part of the problem there probably is the lack of discipline in his program at Eastern State University. So he's going to go to the West Coast. It may be a good culture shift for him. Has a lot of talent. Has some off-the-field problems. Overcame them a little bit later in his career. But needless to say, he kind of underachieved in college. But they like his tools, what he brings to the table.
Well, with the 7th pick, the Carolina Panthers have time to select.
The Panthers, let me talk about the Panthers for a second. They obviously need a quarterback too. No longer Cam Newton. They got him out of there. I will say this. Whoever the new quarterback is will probably dress a lot better at the press conferences this year compared to what we've seen the last few years over there in Charlotte. And Matt Rule is the new coach. That man is a winner. He won at Baylor. This man won at Temple. I mean, he beat the snot out of Penn State back in 2015. They were one play away from beating Notre Dame and going to a New Year's Six bowl. That man can coach some football. I think he'll do good things with the Panthers.
Well, the Panthers have selected Matt Saracen.
Matt Saracen, Dillon High School. This kid, tough upbringing, took care of his grandmother for a long time. Played behind Streeter, the star quarterback who got hurt tragically in a game. And next thing you know, Saracen came in, and it didn't start out too well for him, but he rebounded. The kid won a lot of big games for Dillon back in the day. I see him being a very productive pick for the Panthers.
Well, with that saying, the 8th pick is with the Cardinals.
And that's the Cardinals. They've never changed their logo. It's been the same thing since people started having sliced bread. I mean, get some originality there or do something different or something. But anyway, let's see what the Cardinals have.
The Cardinals have selected Featherstone.
Featherstone, Texas State University. This guy is lightning fast, but as a receiver, some question his catching ability in traffic, his hands. He made some big plays down the stretch for Texas State late in their season, but it was a struggle to get him catching the football. They probably are looking at him to be a replacement down the road for Larry Fitzgerald at this point later in his career. But, Featherstone, very quick, has a lot of tools, but we'll see if he can adjust to catching the football. The problem he had there in college, he had the dropsies.
All right, with that being said, the 9th pick is taken by the Jacksonville
Jaguars, as some people will say. Who knows what they're going to do? They might be in London before we know it.
I don't know. Well, they have selected Billy Bob West.
Billy Bob from Cannon High School, West Cannon High School. This is a big lineman. Brings a lot of beef to the table. He's going to try to shore up that line play for the Jaguars. I like the pick. It's a value pick for the Jags here at number 9.
All right. The 10th pick is with the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns, what can you say? Just bad uniforms, bad logo, but hey, it is what it is, right?
Well, the Browns have selected Tim Riggins.
Tim Riggins, the running back, fullback. Some people say the fullback's dead in football. The Cleveland Browns obviously don't think so. They draft Riggins. Had some off-field issues. A lot of these guys do. But if they can get him in there working with Baker Mayfield and maybe Odell and get some things straightened out, that could be a very good pick on offense for the Browns.
All right, with that being said, the 11th pick is with the New York Jets.
The Jets, Jets. Let's see what they have. They typically pick here in the top 10 or close to it.
The Jets have selected Tremaine.
Tremaine from Central High School in Chicago, played for the Wildcats. He's not going to be all about the big city lights moving up to Broadway. I like the pick for the Jets. Jermaine brings a lot of value to the table, a lot of skills out there playing it on the offensive side of the football.
All right, with the 12th pick is the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders, they just moved from Oakland. Interesting thing, I was reading an article today about how they drafted a kicker in the first round 20 years ago, Janikowski from Florida State. It would be shocking if they did this again, but who knows what might happen.
Okay, the Raiders have selected Lucy Draper.
Lucy Draper, the kicker, Texas State University. I can't believe it. This is just like Sebastian Janikowski, which I mentioned this a moment ago. You got to question what's going on out there with Gruden. They need players. They had the Antonio Brown situation last year, but they bring in Lucy Draper. They already got the football card ready for her. That's amazing. So I guess they think she's going to kick for 16, 17 years like Janikowski did.
All right, with the 13th pick, the San Francisco 49ers.
We'll see what the 49ers here do. They have the Super Bowl runner-up of the NFC champions. Just trying to add value here with this pick.
The 49ers have selected Rashad Hot
Hands Hannon from Ohio. Again, he's a lot like Featherstone's. Has some issues with hands, but made some big plays down the stretch. So they're trying to add another weapon there on offense for Garoppolo and company out in San Francisco.
All right, with the 14th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers, look at that logo. Just beautiful. They just stay with those uniforms, but what do I know?
I don't know. The 14th pick, they have selected Darnell Jefferson.
Darnell Jefferson, the running back, Eastern State University. Struggled to get on the field early in his career, then kind of blossomed later as the season went on. They're adding him in with Tom Brady. We had breaking news this afternoon. Gronkowski coming out of retirement to go with Tom Brady. We'd like to see if the Buccaneers have to trade O.J. Howard at some point. But this is a good pick, another weapon for Tom Brady to use at his disposal, along with the crafty Bruce Arians as their coach.
Okay, with the 15th pick, the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos, Mile High City. Let's see who they take.
The Broncos have selected Luke Cafferty.
Luke Cafferty, linebacker, East Dillon High School in Texas. Gets after it. It's a good pick. Likes to bring a load in there, hit it hard at the line. He'll be a good run stopper for the Broncos.
Okay, with the 16th pick, the Atlanta Falcons.
The Falcons, they just changed their uniforms. I don't know what they're doing over there. They still haven't recovered from blowing that 28-3 lead to the Patriots, but they got a lot of weapons on offense. They need help on defense. Let's see what they do with their pick.
Well, the Falcons have selected Brian Smash Williams.
Brian Smash Williams, Dillon High School, another good pick, another weapon for Matt Ryan. Hopefully he will utilize it. I know they brought Gurley in, but I can see Williams pushing him for playing time rather quickly. They got Julio over there still. They got Calvin Ridley. They got a lot of weapons on offense. That offensive line's not very sure, though, over there, but I can see Williams playing immediately for the Falcons.
Okay, with the 17th pick, the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys, America's team. The interesting thing about the Cowboys, I hear their fans. I see them on social media all the time talking about, we won this many Super Bowls, blah, blah, blah. You know what? Those Super Bowls were 25 years ago or longer. I mean, you got to have a VCR to watch highlights of Cowboys games when they were any good. They got a new coach coming in. Let's see what they do.
Well, the Cowboys have selected Andre Krim.
Andre Krim, the big lineman out of Texas State. They stay in the Lone Star State for their pick. I like it. It's a good pick. Maybe Jerry Jones has his hands in there. Maybe not as far as making decisions on this pick. But this is a good pick. He'll provide some steadiness in the line play for the Cowboys, and I can see him having a long NFL career.
Okay, with the 18th pick, the Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins need a lot of help, a lot of areas. They still got a lot of picks in this first round. I think this was originally supposed to be the Steelers pick, but they lost it in the trade with Minkah Fitzpatrick, so let's see who the Dolphins take.
The Dolphins have selected Charlie Tweeter.
They go to Charlie Tweeter, a wide receiver, somewhat controversial. Has a little bit of an attitude problem. Has some skills, though. They're going to try to pair him with their new quarterback, so you can see what's trying to take shape here. They're trying to fill needs here in Miami, and they still have another pick later on here in the first round.
Okay, with the 19th pick, the Las Vegas Raiders again.
The Raiders back on the clock again. Raider Nation, it's basically the whole nation. They're all over California and Las Vegas now, so, in Nevada.
Well, the Raiders have selected Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker, the quarterback, had the big controversy recruiting scandal, ended up going to State University. People forgot about him a little bit, but he's a very good quarterback. The Raiders need a quarterback. He provides a lot of weapons for them. I like the pick from Gruden. Probably will run Spider Y2 Banana at some point. John Gruden's favorite play. I'm sure we'll see them utilize that during the season.
Okay, with the 20th pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaggy Wires back on the clock. Let's see who they take.
The Jaguars have selected Vince Howard.
Vince Howard, East Dillon High School. I like this kid a lot. This might be the steal of the draft. Everybody was on Gardner Minshew last year, and then that kind of fizzled out pretty quickly. This kid is legit. He could have a boxing career if he wanted to. This kid could be a lawyer if he wants to, and he's a very good quarterback, dual threat for the Jaguars.
Well, with the 21st pick, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Let's see who the Eagles pick here. They have a lot of needs on offense and need to shore up that defense a little bit.
Well, the Eagles have selected Brian Riley.
Brian Riley, another pick from Ampipe High School. This is a guy that the Steelers probably would like to select it if they still had a local kid from out western Pennsylvania. Short tackler. Led that 6'2 stack back in the day for Ampipe High School. It's a good pick. You know, he's moving to the eastern side of the state, so somebody there better get this man some tasty cakes. You know, everybody's going to talk about cheesesteaks, but tasty cakes. You know, and I would have used butterscotch Crippets, but they were sold out at the store, so I didn't have to use them. Couldn't use them for a prop tonight. Sorry.
Well, with the 22nd pick, the Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings, they got 2 picks in this round. Let's see who they take.
The Vikings have selected Rudy Zoltek.
Rudy Zoltek, offensive lineman from Ohio, kind of fits in with that culture. I can see him playing there for a long time. It opens up some huge holes for the Vikings.
Well, with the 23rd pick, the New England Patriots.
You got to figure they want to replace Tom Brady. They got Jarrett Stidham. I don't know how good Jarrett Stidham will be. We'll have to wait and see on that. So let's see what the Patriots do.
Well, the Patriots have selected Jonathan
Moxon from West Cannon High School. This kid is a player. Moxie, short for Moxie, brings a lot of that to the table. You know, I can see Bill Belichick trying to mold him into something here to keep the Patriots rolling.
Well, with the 24th pick, the New Orleans Saints.
Let's see where they go with. They've been so close. They might need a quarterback. Drew Brees is close to retirement. Their defense needs short up too. They have a lot of weapons though, still coming back on offense.
Well, the Saints have selected Lyle Robideau.
Lyle Robideau from SCLSU, the less acclaimed linebacker compared to Bobby Boucher, the water boy, but this might shore up the defense. It's a local kid. It's a Cajun kid. You got another locals down there at Bourbon Street are going to love him. We'll see what he can bring to the table if he can shore up that defense for the Saints, which has struggled the last few seasons, despite the fact they had that high-octane offense.
Well, with the 25th pick, the Minnesota Vikings.
Vikings back on the clock again.
Well, the Vikings have selected Jarvis Edison.
Jarvis Edison from Texas State, another offensive weapon here. I don't know if he's really worthy of a first-round pick by the Vikings, but obviously they're trying to fill a need, so that's probably why they went in that direction.
Well, with the 26th pick, the Miami Dolphins.
Dolphins have a lot of weapons. They need a lot of weapons. Excuse me. Let's see who they take.
Well, the Dolphins have selected.
We're still waiting for the pick. Technical difficulties a little bit. We're in a different, everybody's using the internet. We're going old school here, and we don't have the draft in one spot. It's a little bit different night, but it looks like they're taking Krasinski from Central High School in Chicago, playing for the Wildcats. That'll be culture shock. He's another quarterback, so the Dolphins are going to have an open quarterback competition, it looks like. He's going to move from Chicago down to South Beach. That'll be totally different for him. We'll see how he adjusts to that, but he played very well down the stretch for the Wildcats.
Well, with the 27th pick, the Seattle Seahawks.
The Seattle Seahawks, my brother's team. Let's see where they go with Pete Carroll, what he chooses.
Seahawks have selected Steve
Whoa,
Latimer.
gosh, whoa, that's scary there. Steve Latimer, wow, shocking pick. Had a lot of issues off the field. He was involved in a steroid scandal. Obviously, he was playing very well. He was on the roids when he got off them. He looked very weak late in the season. I don't necessarily like the pick for the Seahawks. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me at this point. But, I feel like Russell Wilson needs some more help up there on offense. But they also chose to go defense here. Seattle did.
Well, with the 28th pick, the Baltimore Ravens.
Let's just take a second. The Ravens, Balmer Ravens, as I say, Balmer, like the locals. let's just say what it is. They got the good Harbaugh as a coach, right? They got the Harbaugh that can win. We'll see if they add some weapons for Lamar Jackson. They try to shore up that defense.
Well, they have selected Hastings Ruckle.
Ruckle, East Dillon High School, the receiver, the basketball player turned receiver, trying to surround him. I can see him being in that slot spot like Stokely was for years with the Ravens. So, another weapon for Lamar Jackson. We know what kind of season he had. Obviously, it ended disappointing in the playoffs. They lost to the Titans. But the Ravens will be right there again. Lamar Jackson has a huge, bright future in front of him.
Well, with the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans.
And there we go, the Tennessee Titans. Let's see what direction they're going to go in.
The Titans have selected Paul Blake.
Oh, another quarterback off the board. Paul Blake from Texas State. Had a good end of the season there. I'm a little surprised the Titans go in that direction because they just re-signed Tannehill. They were flirting with Brady, trying to get him to come in. But let's face it, they need a quarterback that can get the ball down the field. Derrick Henry was the one throwing touchdowns in the playoffs and winning the games by himself. That's a known fact. That is indisputable. They had no passing offense in those playoff games on that run to the AFC Championship. Derrick Henry's winning all these playoff games the last couple years for the Titans. They need help. They need to stretch the defense. Maybe Paul Blake can do that for them. Hopefully it can for Tennessee.
Well, with the 30th pick, the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers, where will Matt Rule go here? We saw him go offense earlier. Quarterback, will he go offense or defense?
Well, the Panthers have gone with Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, the Alabama kick returner. There was a lot of speculation whether he'd be drafted highly. Lightning fast, really only returns kicks. If you could get him to run some offensive routes, it might be a weapon, but there's no doubt he brings a lot of speed to the table on returns. At Alabama, played for Nick Saban. So this is a big pick for Matt Rule. It's an off-the-board pick, but I can see Matt Rule making this work down in Charlotte.
Well, with the 31st pick, the San Francisco 49ers.
The 49ers back on the clock, trying to add into that Super Bowl run again here. So let's see what they add.
The 49ers have selected Vinny Salvucci.
Vinny Salvucci, Ampipe High School, the running back who had a tough end to his career, fumbled the ball late in the game, lost that game late in the season for Ampipe. It's a pick that they're trying to add on offense here with Garoppolo and company, bring in some more weapons. Let's see if he can recover from that tragic end to the season there, because Ampipe was trying to win their first championship in like 25 years. And it just ended poorly in a driving rainstorm. I don't really blame him. I blame Coach Nickerson for not taking a knee instead of trying to hand the ball off in the last seconds of that game.
Well, with the final pick of the first-round draft,
the Super Bowl champions, the Chiefs, 50 years between titles. They got another one. Let's see what they do.
The Chiefs have selected Lucas Bile Glenbard.
Lucas Bly from Glenbard West High School. They already got the card rate of him already. I mean, Lucas... When you're the Chiefs and you have so many weapons, what do? You take a guy who wore an offensive lineman number 72, and tried to catch a pass in a game. He ran a flea flicker in a game. He got hurt late, had some head injuries. But they have so many weapons, so I'm sure that Andy Reid will find a spot for him to play there on offense. A rather surprising pick at that spot, but Lucas Bly can bring a lot to the table for Kansas City.
Well, that's the end of the first round. We thank you for joining. I'm Molly Young.
And Molly, once again, I thank you for coming over from the weather department. I know you're in between severe weather drills here coming up. It's a tough time for you. I know you're extremely busy during this COVID-19 season, and the fact that you have assignments for school and one teacher's giving you 33 assignments, that's just crazy. But, hey, we appreciate you stepping in here and helping out with draft coverage tonight.
Well, thanks for having me.